Hi. Welcome back to another episode of the Expansion Podcast. I'm so excited you're here. We are chatting about holding energy without losing yourself as a highly sensitive woman, energetic containment, and how no one is really talking about this aspect of how it's so important when we are on a spiritual healing journey, especially when we're exploring all different kinds of holistic healing modalities and what that can really look when we're integrating them, when we're in those exchanges with those professionals, and how to tell what the 4 key signals are when our energy is merging. And I'm going to get into that so much more. And I want you to just take a deep breath with me right now and exhale and just sink into this moment wherever you are. If you're driving your car, if you're in your kitchen, if you're cozy somewhere, and have a warm drink, wherever you're listening to this. I want you to just sink into this moment, really ground, and let's get this energetic transmission going, shall we? So in this episode, you will learn about what containing your energy is and why it's important to do it through your spiritual healing experience, especially when we are exploring different healing modalities, holistic support sessions with different practitioners doing a variety of things. And you will learn how this applies to seeking that professional support and energy work in the spiritual holistic communities, and really what to look out for when our energy merges and if it becomes entangled. This is something that I've seen time and time again in the last decade of doing this work. And I've had to unravel clients from other practitioners. And this is me saying this with intentionality and love and showing up to help the spiritual communities and industries navigate what is so new to all of us. There's a big shift happening on the planet, and we're all moving towards our own immersive spiritual awakening journeys and healing experiences. And we're looking to Instagram and YouTube and TikTok for answers. And that's great. Those are all good things with boundaries in place with those of what we're tuning ourselves into and how that affects our energy field. And I say this all the time, where just because we can't see energy doesn't mean it's not one of the most powerful exchanges and interactions we can have as not only highly sensitive women, but individuals, human beings in general. And we're not only opening up so much more right now as a collective on this planet, but we are also being activated in all new ways. And we need some guidelines. So I'm here to just help with those guidelines, to keep everybody in this community confident. Their energy feels like their own. They have clarity. They have a clear path to follow, and they are in their sovereignty and power throughout this journey. So we're going to start with what most highly sensitive women feel is a normal experience, what we've normalized, okay? And this is okay. We've all been down this road. This is something that is a learning curve and an awakening moment for highly sensitive women who feel everything. We feel all the energy around us all the time. And we have really normalized merging our energy fields with other people. And so this becomes something that we don't really know was happening, but we start to feel the key signals of this, and then they can have this snowball effect over time. So when a highly sensitive woman normalizes and unconsciously merges her energy field with either, let's say, a practitioner that you're going to see, or people at work, or in your career path or professional path. Let's say you are a practitioner and you're also a highly sensitive woman, and you're on the other end of that, and you're merging your energy with the clients that are coming to you to seek your beautiful support and your transformational gifts that you're offering the world. How to recognize when that exchange is happening, because there are some key things that can be going on that can leave us feeling very burnt out and make us question whether or not we really want to keep showing up in the ways that we're showing up. And then it starts to ripple out into our personal lives and it's all about energetic containment. When a highly sensitive woman's energy field is naturally more open. If you've listened to my other podcast episodes or you've been in my world for a little bit, you know that I talk a lot about this because we don't have a not only a brain barrier in place to help with stimulation, we also have very open energy fields. So and that's important for the work that we do. That's important for our soul-led purpose. And that's important for all the new systems and new ideas and new creations that we are here to put into place, because we need to be able to feel everything in order to sense what others can't and pick up on what's in the conscious field or the unconscious field, and really what is guidelines and new systems in place to help the evolution of humanity. That's really our soul-led purpose that we share common ground in, and how that's expressed is unique to you, as unique as your fingerprint. And really, when we have such a natural ability to have such an open energy field, it's really easy for us to feel like that's how things are supposed to be. And in moments, it's very important that we know how to open ourselves up. For example, when you are in a healing exchange, whether you're the professional practitioner helping the client or you're the client going to the professional practitioner, then it's important to be able to open up our field, because not only can we see results much faster, which is very cool, but the work is deeper. The work is more integrated in deeper layers and pockets within ourselves. So that's why we see this great progression forward when we have that energetic containment to allow us the safe boundaries to explore these different energy modalities and feel safe and in our own truth and in our own clarity without merging. And that goes for the professional exchange as well. So what I'm here to teach are the 4 signals right now. We're going to get into them right now of what to look out for when we are unknowingly have merged our energy fields with someone else, with a professional in particular that we're seeking help for in our spiritual healing journey. And this goes also towards the professional who may be merging their energy field with a client or a student. Now we're going to get into the 4 key signals that energetic merging has happened or is happening. And in the back of your head, as I'm talking about these, I want you to keep the snowball effect analogy in just the back of your head. So the first one here is you can't tell what is yours anymore, and clarity feels more distant as you go, the snowball effect. And this is usually the first and clearest sign. So after a session, you may notice that emotions don't match your personal life. They kind of feel a little off. Thoughts or memories feel like they aren't yours, or they're foreign to you, and you're trying to connect with them and you're thinking, wait, what's going on here? And there can also be a sudden heaviness or sadness and agitation, and there's no clear source about this, okay? And what's going on energetically is the field, your energy field and the boundaries around them have softened a little too much, either within the session, or maybe that was already happening originally when you showed up to session and started working with this practitioner, or your client has just showed up and you just started working with this client, or maybe it's happened over time. And this is where energetic information and emotional charge is being exchanged and crossed between both individuals without a filtration. So when I say filtration, I want to also say that that's more of this boundary, but you guys hear me talk about energetic filters often. But so I want to say filtration and or boundary that is usually there. That's where energetic containment comes in, where we have this filtration and boundary in place to understand how energy gets exchanged in those moments and how to keep ourselves separate from one another. And that's one of the preventative methods to allow our nervous systems, our energy field, and our openness to still receive that beautiful healing support and allow us to have sustainable energy, not burned out, and not go on a roller coaster of merging with someone else's energy. Number 2, your nervous system stays open or activated long after the session ends. And I think the only way to describe this one is to really go through the details here. So There is an exhaustion that's paired with being overstimulated. And we know as highly sensitive women that we naturally get overstimulated quite easily. You'll know this feeling so well. This description, right, is like the exhaustion paired with the overstimulation. It comes hand in hand. So you're going to see that there's an increase in that after a session. After a session, there really needs to be a period of release and integration with your clarity intact, but a progressive increase in energy and clarity and forward motion. So when the nervous system stays open long after a session ends, there's difficulty sleeping even though you need excess rest. And you can often feel raw, tender, because think about just all your pathways being open. Everything's coming at you now. And overly emotional hours or even days after you've had this session. So this is where you'll hear a lot of practitioners, which is true, talk about release after a session and integration. And it's important, like I said, that you still have your clarity after and with this release, because these symptoms are so closely described as release. So this is when you know that when you're experiencing this, this is when energetic closure is needed. And this can be done from a distance, and you can just intentionally do this. Is what I teach my students inside of Ethical Energetics Academy and that's a certification program to help women who are so gifted and wanting to step out into the professional path and become certified as a spiritual, ethical, energetics leader. And this is one of the things I teach them amongst so many other, because it is the foundation of having sustainable, long-lasting energetic exchanges with not only in a professional way, but in a personal way too. And some women in there all take that course as a way to just enhance their personal lives, because they are very highly sensitive and they do need that deeper support and education. So number 3, you feel responsible for let's get into number 3. You feel responsible for the other person's outcome. So this is a really powerful sign, even though I would say it's one of the more subtle ones. So this is what you're going to notice. You're going to notice that you're thinking about the practitioner or the facilitator or the client more afterwards and after the session. It's going to feel there's an increase in that. And we do think about our students and clients, but when there's a prolonged daily thought that pops out about your client or your practitioner, this is where the sign becomes really powerful and clear. And then there's this sense of wondering if, did the practitioner do it right? Did I perform that accurately? There's this questioning, that a little bit of self-doubt comes up. And then there's also this, which sometimes happens, where we feel guilty, loyal, or this obligation to stay connected to the session after it's supposedly done. Okay. So energetically, what's happening here is we take on this responsibility of the emotions and outcomes because there was energy that crossed that initial boundary for that energetic containment. And your roles of client and professional and client get blurred. Those lines get blurred a little bit. And sometimes that can feel a little confusing, but it's really common for empathetic feelers, women that are very connected to others through feeling the emotions of others. And this is one of the ones that would make the most sense to them when they are listening to this or learning about this. Alrighty, let's get into number 4. Your intuition signal. So your intuitive signal. Let's get into number 4. Your intuitive signal becomes uncertain. You start to self-doubt a little bit. And instead of feeling more clear after a session and more open and more expansive, you start to second guess yourself, your inner knowing. There's confusion around your emotional state, and it's a little bit more noisy than before, when really things should be, I don't like the word should, so I'm going to replace that with things are generally more clear, more stable. Your emotional release feels good. You feel a weight is lifted off your shoulders. You feel an activation of energy that's stable. You feel inspired and light and like you've just dropped a lot of weight off of you, and that's supposed to feel so good. And here, when your intuitive signal becomes uncertain, you start to feel less anchored in your own body and in your own truth. And then that heaviness comes in, and this is where we know that there's a merging that has happened, that has crossed. And so there are energetic containment techniques to keep us safe and regulated and feeling grounded in our healing journey, in our spiritual awakening journey. And I'm going to give you a really powerful, before we close here, practice that you can do before, during, and after a session. You just need to set intentions moving into the session. Energy follows intention. That is an energetic law. I teach this to my students, okay? And there's a whole bunch of other techniques, but I'm going to teach you this really powerful one in this podcast episode. When you arrive to a session, when you book it, okay, when you book your session, I want you to set some clear intentions and boundaries around what you wish to experience during the session and after the session. So what you want to feel during and what the outcomes are going to be, what are your intentions moving into it. And then when you arrive to your session, you're going to keep your energy open and ready to receive, but also in your own energetic world. So if you're going to take note before you walk in how you feel, and then you're going to have the healing exchange. And then after that session, you're going to take note again about how you feel. Okay, do I feel like a weight is lifted off my shoulders? Do I feel really clear? Do I feel really open? Do I feel like my cup is really full? And now I just have to go off and support my integration, support my release, but I have my clarity, I have my sense of self, and I know what my next steps are after this healing session. And if all of those feel very clear and very true to you, then the energetic merging is clear. You're in the clear for that. I'm going to close this podcast episode and this energy exchange with you with so much gratitude and love to have you here with me in my world, with you for showing up for yourself, for your community, for others around you, for your soul-led purpose, which is so beautiful, and your bravery to be authentically you, and for being a highly sensitive woman to energy and doing the work to support yourself and your purpose through it all. Alrighty, I'm sending so much love, and I'll see you in the next episode.